So before we actually go to the steps in the SAP, I want to explain briefly what's the purpose, right? So why we want to do this procurement module from the SAP, what is the main purpose, and how what's the purpose for this purchase module, and how is be related to accounting and other business functions. So you can tell by the title, so we are trying to simulate a procurement process under the SAP, or in SAP, they call purchase to pay. So means a company want to buy, so we are simulating a process. So first, we are going to purchase a new inventory from the vendor. And then we simulate receiving the inventory from the shipment, and then receive the invoice related to the shipment, and finally make the payment. So the journal entries, the financial accounting part, will be captured by this module, will include the first one. So you can see on the right bottom, the first journal entry will be created once we receive the shipment of the inventory we purchased from the vendor. And in our assignment, this inventory is the special helmets, because this is a GBI bicycle company. They make bicycles, they sell bicycles, but they also buy and sell some of the bike accessories like safety gears, or some accessory of the bicycles. So for this inventory, we are going to purchase some new helmets from the vendor, receive the helmets, and then check the invoices and make payments. So after you finish a step, I believe is like step 12 or 13, I forgot the number. But after we receive the shipment, this is the first accounting journal entry. But be careful, once we receive the inventory, we wouldn't recognize an accounts payable right away because you haven't received the invoice yet. So we are assuming the invoice haven't arrived at the same time as the material. So we will put in a temporary accounts payable, we call GRIR, so goods receipt or invoice receipt. Also, it's something used in SAP, but we didn't really teach this account in the accounting courses. Okay, it's just like I normally call it a temporary accounts payable. Okay, so before you receive the formal invoice. And then when we simulate receiving the invoice, because the shipment goes to the company's warehouse, right? So that's like the delivery. Then the invoice sent by the vendor goes to the accounts payable function that's normally under the accounting department. So the invoice will be sending to the AP staff, and once they receive the invoice and confirm the invoice is correct, compare the invoice with the purchase orders with the actual delivery we received, right? Because it's like when you receive a Amazon shipment, right? Online orders arrive under your door, and we have a small shipment. We compare like the invoice. Probably you already make the payments, but you definitely want to check the payment is matching with the inventory we ordered, right? So this is more important in the company setting because it happens in different time points. Normally they receive the inventory first and then get the invoice, but the invoice need to be validated and confirmed. So once we validate the invoice, you can see we remove this temporary accounts payable. So debit the accounts payable, and normally now you can put it a formal, I'm sorry, oh, this is payable. Okay, is a typo here. Is the accounts payable to the vendor we ordered the helmets from. Okay, so that's a special vendor account. So similarly, when we call this transaction, it's similar to the financial accounting module. we don't really use the accounts payable account, but we use that vendor code, like the vendor number, because the vendor is already linked to this accounts payable account. And then finally, after we verify the invoice, then we are ready to make the payment. Okay, once the payment voucher is approved by the manager, we can send out the cash, or you can do wire transfers, like the bank transfers to the vendor. So eventually we'll pay off the accounts payable with the cash. In this transaction, again, we are assuming make a one-time full payment, no discount. Okay, whatever we ordered, we make a one-time payment. So the actual accounting transactions are very straightforward, right? So if you write on paper, we only need 3 journal entries. But in the real world, it's not done by writing journal entries on the paper. So it's actually go through the whole purchasing module. So that's before you get into the journal entry stage. So that's in beginning. The first real transaction in the module is we create a new material master. Oh, that's step 5. Step 5 in the instruction file. So we are this will also help us to review our database knowledge, like tables, right? So material master is an asset. It will be a new table in our database. So we'll create a new helmet. So Olympic, yeah, later you can see the new material is a helmet. So we'll create the helmet, we name it, and we'll I think you input required information, for example, like the weight, the weight and where you are going to storage this material, and also the accounting data related to this material. Are we going to use standard costing or variable costing, and what is the standard cost for this material? So that's the different columns, or the what we call attributes, right? So attributes for this material, similar to the one we use in the Access database, but here we are using a form because we don't touch directly on the tables, but we have the form, and in SAP they call the views to enter the different required data. So once we create this material master, like the table or the database, then we create another new purchasing vendor. Remember, in the financial accounting, we created a rental property vendor, right? That's a service vendor. So for this vendor, is not we order service, is the vendor for the helmets. So it's especially for these helmets. So we'll again specify the contact information, like the general data for this vendor, and then company code data. Similar company code, we enter which accounts payable we want to use for this vendor. But in addition to the general data, company code data, we also need to put purchasing special data for this vendor we didn't use in the service vendor in the financial accounting module. So the first two, like step 5 and 6, are the most critical. Okay, definitely I want to show you today, because if you can finish these 2 data or like steps correctly, then all of the following, like later you create a info record to link the vendor and the material, and then prepare a purchase requisition, and then a purchase order based upon the requisition, then receive the inventory, receive the invoice, and make payments. Those I think is very straightforward, and it's much less confusing than the first 2. Okay, so that's kind of, I can definitely show the first 2. Okay, so in like today. questions before so really make sure you understand the logic, okay, what the purpose, what we are doing here, and how the processes are linked to each other, rather than just, oh, click, and finish the steps. And after that, I really don't know why I do this, or what the purpose and what I'm learning from here. That's not the purpose. Because after you learned the structure, the logics, and the way you handle the SAP, you pretty much can handle other ERP systems or continue to learn other functions under this SAP. So that's our purpose, okay, to open the door for the ERP or like transaction processing in the real world. So now let me stop here and share the real SAP. Okay, let's get started on the material master data and the vendor master data. I will continue to use my student account. So just take a few seconds to open the browser. Because this is a cloud-based SAP, sometimes it will run slow, especially when your Wi-Fi that's linked to, and this we call cloud-based. And I do have the app-based. Okay, I have the desktop version. So let me share now. I got it. So before logging, so make sure you have your client number, right? I know, okay, you already know this, but be careful. So username and the password. So log on. And if you read the instruction package, the one I posted under the procurement assignment, if you see the table of contents, we have 18. Yeah, totally we have 18 steps, but not all of them are transactions. Some of them, like the first 4, are introductions. They'll get you familiar with the setting of the SAP as is related to the accounting functions. And then some of the steps are helping you to check you finish the prior transaction and you capture the data correctly before you move on. Okay. So I will focus on 5 and 6, the master material record and master of the vendor data. So let me quickly scroll down. So section 5 or step 5, create a master material record for a trading good. If you remember, when you look for the chart of the accounts, the GBI, the bicycle company, they have different type of inventories. They have trading goods like the accessories. So trading means the company didn't make them by the company itself. We bought it from vendor and resale to customers, like the helmets we are going to do. No. And they do have bicycles, but the bicycles are the finished goods or semi-finished because it need to go through the manufacture process and then ready to be sold. To make the learning easy, we use a trading good, okay, not going through the production process. So a master data for inventory for trading good, we use the transaction code MMH1, or if you want to follow the code, or if you use the menu path, is listed under the logistics. For sales and procurement, most of the transactions are listed under the logistics rather than under accounting, because those are your operational functional areas. As accounting students, we are learning these SAP functions, but in the real world, we may not access to this system because you are not working for the procurement. But we are simulating. So when you have your student account, you put yourself in multiple roles of a company. Okay, that's the way. So we learn from different perspectives. So now you are like a procurement people, right? So warehousing or inventory managers. So I'm going to create a new type of trading good. So material management, purchasing, oh, I'm sorry, no purchasing, master data, and material, create special. And you can see we have different type of materials, right? So raw material, semi-finished, and we are going to use the trading goods. Raw material you buy to make products. Okay, and this one we can buy and sell directly. So you can use MMH1 as the code. So put the code in the transaction box, or I just click on here, okay, as I already. And first the name. So name your helmets. Okay, so we call OLHT. Then put your company code to differentiate from others. So LL, we didn't find any match because this is new, so it's okay, or it's just a prompt. And industry sector, select retail, because for real companies, they have material related to different type of industries. Oh, this is the retail type of material, so rather than chemical or like some others. And material type, since we already chose the MMH1, so it's already popped up as trading good. So first screen, we need to go through a few screens to finally finish step 5. So this is like the title page, right? So like name it. And then the next 2 steps, very critical. Select views. Views means how many different types, the data for the material is not like in the Access. We can finish all of the attributes on one screen. Okay. So on one screen, you can input all of the attributes, for example, your customers or the sales order. In real SAP or other ERP systems, for material like master data, one screen wouldn't enough. So we need to go to different screen or views to finish all of the required field. So it means all of the attributes, you couldn't use one screen to capture all of them. Okay, so before we input the data, we make sure you select all of the required screens, so it will be available for us to put the data. So select the views. You can see there are how many, like almost 30 something. And these views are designed for different functions. Some of the views are for salesperson only. So when you do the SAP bonus sales, so you can use the 3 sales function later. But for purchasing people, remember, so we are simulating you are like a inventory or purchasing manager. Okay, I'm ordering a new material, so creating a new material. So we will choose, that's all on your instruction file as well. Okay, choose the basic data one. And then purchasing, so check, okay, by check them. And if you are production people, for example, you are creating materials, you may use MRP, that's manufacture planning. Okay, that's for raw materials normally. And then general data management, general plan data storage. Okay, that's you give the information how to store this inventory correctly in the warehouse. And the three of them. And then finally, the first view is our accounting data. But this accounting data is not input by accounting, it's by the procurement people. In the accounting, you will define like the accounts payables related to it, and also the standard costing over for that. So before you move on, slide the sliders, make sure you check them, because if you miss one of the views, you have to add them later. So you couldn't really add from the process. You have to use another like a editing code. So you couldn't use MMA like if you miss the view, you still use MMH1, but only adding the view you missed. Okay, so that's like it's kind of tricky in the beginning. So that's better we not make a mistake. Okay, but it's fine. Okay, if you miss something, we can figure out later. But 4 views: basic data 1, purchasing, general plan, and scroll down. Make sure we check the accounting one. And then you can click from here directly the organizational levels, or you can save this, and then it's pop up the organizational level automatically. Oh, because it's required. So means you can see organization means which plant, because the company has multiple locations of the plants, and they want to specify which plants you are going to receive the material. So we'll put MI, that's Miami location, and again match with your company code. So Miami plant. So you have your like 16 or 15 or other numbers, and is configured already. We match with our, and the storage location we put TG. TG means trading good. That's fine. I can just use lowercase. The system will convert it to uppercase. Okay, so trading good. It's not really location, right? So you may think, oh, this is what type of, but just the SAP name. Oh, and after that, we can click on continue. Organization levels, I think that's what I put. Oh, TG, I'm sorry. It should be TG30. Yeah, TG30. So I missed the number. Okay, so TG30. So MI30, TG30, and click. Now you can see after like those titles, we are getting to the 4 screens of views we chose in the tab. So in the second level of the tabs, you see all of the views, but you are gonna only getting data inputs to the 4 views we chose. How we can know is by this circled, right? Okay. For others, we didn't select, they don't have those circles. So we have basic data 1, purchasing. And then if you continue using the arrows, and you see the plant data, and continue to seeing the accounting 1. Okay, so that's the 4 views we chose. And now backing, okay. And each view, so we go orders. So after each one, be careful. Don't save until we finish all 4 of the views. Oh, so after you finish each wheel, you can just click the next one and move on. Yeah, because I haven't finished the first one, it wouldn't let me move on. But once you finish basic data 1, you can move to the next view by hitting the Enter key. The Enter key on your laptop, or click the next tab. Oh, that time you can do that. So, but I will do it later. So now, as we already have the name of the material, now you just put a description is a text. Okay, so this one is not really numerical, or you can just use like a memo. And in the they call like a special edition Olympic helmets. Okay, I just put it here, that's fun. And then put my company code as a reminder, okay, like for myself. So this is like a text that describe like reference, or it's not a standard input. But be careful, the next one, the basic unit of measurement, we use EA, okay, EA. Why couldn't? Let me see here, can I do this? Oh, again, if you see this grayed out, oh, it's not letting you hit a enter, hit the enter after the description, it will activate. So that's like again the beginning kind of tricky things. Similar like the one we enter the company code, then activate the accounts payable in the financial accounting module. Okay, that's a trick. You may want to take a note. Or if you see the screen is like locked, so hit enter, so it will activate. Okay, now I can put each. So EA means each. And if you see this square, double squares, normally in the right of a field, that means the available choices, right? So because for material or inventory, you have different measurement, unit of measurement. You have weight, then you have like the areas or like a bottle, bag, okay, like, you know, so or liquid measurements. And so I will close this. And then the star means required material group. I put SF. So that's like if you put S, is already pop up. Oh, is this again? Remember when we do the access, this is like a something help the users enter correct information, right? So is a like look over, so look up field, right? So look up field, so to avoid that they make mistakes. So SF safety gears. And if you are not sure, you can use the search, right? So again, like the search button, and so we can find. And this is the safety gears. And others are kind of optional, so we are going to skip those. Then coming to the gross weight, because this information, again, okay, you, okay, frozen again. Okay, so after the first group, I hit the enter again, and then where is my weight? I hit the enter is pop up, but I'm moving back to the basic data one and 8. And the weight unit is ounces. So OZ, and you can see they have other weight unit. There is an internal control tag. Initially is asking you to put a net weight like none. And by common sense, this is not right? Because the net weight of a material should be less or equal than the gross weight. So it's similar when we do the access, how we can prevent data entry errors, or to minimize or prevent. So there are some internal control, like validation rules. So when I put a none, so for example, you can, like if I hit enter, It wouldn't let me save the data. In the bottom is showing a warning. The net weight is greater. So that means you enter something wrong before you move on. So now I'm going back. Change the 9 back to 8. Or something less. I think anything less than 8 or equal to 8 will work. But I just go for 8. And all other things will be optional. So first, basic data 1, double check, unit, material group, and the gross weight, net weight, and weight ounces. Now I will hit enter again. There is no error, so means I am ready to move on. So now I think you can continue, hit enter one more time, or go click on the purchasing. The next wheel. Skipping all of the others. We didn't plan to enter data. So for next screen is the purchasing. Is kind of still specially like purchasing related data. Here we only need one more entry. And this one is critical. Actually, many students forget this, or I don't know how, but this one telling you which, like, is like a division segment, which, so we use N30. Because global bike, they have different, let me see, I have checked. You have to go in order. You have to finish 5 and then 6 because initially the steps are sequential. Yeah, that's a nice question. Yeah, sequential. And later, there's something you can do parallel, but most, I can tell you most in SAP for like a particular functions, and you need to go step by step. That's kind of they call workflow. So because when I explain it, it's kind of take long, but when you actually do it, you can finish this in 5 minutes or 3 minutes. After you get experienced. Let me see. So next page, make sure here. So you get other information already pop up, right? So make sure you have this purchasing group. N30, this is telling because GPI has multiple, operations. They have German, they have North America. So this means we are buying this in the North America division. And that's the only one we need under the purchasing. But they do have some other like related to ordering features, right? So like you can see the title, the name of the other field, the validation, like reminder, purchasing value key. I think that's kind of some responding to automatic purchasing point. Like that's some, again, internal designs. Now let's move on. So I think if I hit enter, let me try. If the enter doesn't move you to the next, then you can click. Like I mentioned. Now click the next one. So use the arrows to move back and first because we have lots of tabs. And plant data storage 1. This one, even we chose it, but there's no data entry required. It's only a checking around. Let you know what's normally the required information for ordering materials. So that's related to your warehouse management. So for example, once you get the material, where you are going to store it. So think about Amazon, their warehouse, right? So when you receive where you are going to, like the number of the storage bins, picking area, when you try to do shipping sales, where you are going to pick it up, temperature requirements, do we have temperature sensitive materials, storage conditions, container requirements, is a hazardous material. Okay, that's all. Because that's giving the warehousing people like signals of all the data will carry over to the material, so they are ready. They are preparing, receiving the inventory with the right condition, right? So, but we are not required to put in information here at shelf life, right? So maximum. So if you ordering grocery items, right? So temperature or fresh items, so you make sure the shelf life is valid put, right? So I can put, for example, 10 days. But again, this is optional. Okay, if I'm ordering milk or meat, right? So veggies, I may put a shelf life. Okay, then reminder. Okay, so let's move on to the final accounting. So be careful, no saving yet. Oh, because before I save, I still can move around to change and edit. Once you save, okay, once you save, you couldn't use the same transaction to change the data. We have to use a change code. Okay, again, that's something. It's not like Excel. I can just backspace and change. With this, once you saved, it's not changeable. Or you have to exit and then come back using a different, like go to the edit mode to change the like the data. So accounting and can is carry over. So what we are inputting here is the standard price. Not like valuation class is here. Valuation class per unit. Here, this is the per unit price. Be careful, okay, don't put it under the standard price. Okay, put it under, so per helmet is $30 for standard cost. And the price control is already checked, is variable cost. Okay, the other one is standard cost. Only two choices. Those information we covered in 232. Or you use variable costing, actual costing, or standard costing. But we use the variable. Okay, so variable and the default is variable. And the valuation class is here. Oh, valuation class is already input. Oh, but if not, valuation class is something I remember is configured for cost control. Oh, this is the valuation for trading. So 3100 referring to trading good. Oh, we use variable costing for cost control purpose, managerial accounting purpose. So three pieces of information. The only thing I think actually the input is this $30. Again, if you miss this $30, you got a problem later in your info record. And then if you don't fix, it's continue carry over to your purchase order. And at that point, you realize, oh, I missed that information. So we have to come back to fix it. No, but that's something I emphasize. Oh, don't forget this $30. And I think that's we all done for the 4 views. Now you can save. And the local currency converted, that's only a like reminder, no problem, continue to save. And now you got a confirmation. But again, this confirmation doesn't mean I created everything right, but I believe the one I did here is right. But I'm not sure for you when you do it the first time. Sometimes people made a mistake. Oh, so you couldn't tell from here, but when you do transactions later, you found some problems. But don't worry, we can come back to fix it. So that's step 5, the material master. So I don't know, do you still have time? Do you want to continue for one more? So let me know. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I probably, so you can leave when you need. Okay, no problem. I think I will finish step 6. And then so continue like exit. And this one, I think it will be easier once we finish the vendor in the financial module, that's the cardinal property. Because for this vendor, we just add one more groups of data, one more. So we have 3 groups of data. We have general data, we have company code data, and then finally the purchasing data. One again is follow the instruction step by step. Okay, don't go early than me, or don't save unless you are required to do that. Or because again, once you save before you should, you got really extra trouble, okay, by doing that. So this one, I'm going to use the BP, which is a new transaction code, or use the XK, but I'm going to use the BP. So this is the new code to create a new business partner. Remember, business partner is like a general title for entities doing business with us. It can be a vendor, can be a creditor, can be a customer, and their role can change in the future. Okay, but the general data normally will be permanent. So click on OK. You can see you got similar screen as the other one. Okay, and this one, I'm going to use organization. So it's pretty much the same as we created the service vendor in the financial module, but be careful, there's something different. Okay, so be careful. So, but this one, first I need to number my, okay, it's not a number generated by the system. I want to name my, I assign a business partner number, okay, to this vendor. So 714030, okay, is mine. And the next to here, the role right now is a general business partner. So let's change the role. So this partner first take a role for a, I think, FI, yeah, FI vendor. And they don't have the new by this one. So FI means, I think, a financial accounting something. But anyway, okay, choose the FI vendor. So this is the first row, and use create, and it's become new. Okay, because this is we are creating a new, it's not a existing. And then be careful. Okay, when you double check here, make sure, I think probably they already selected the first external. Don't change anything. Okay, keep with the external number assignment. The first one, because you see 2 of them, don't go to the second one. If you get second one, you couldn't save the data later. Oh, yeah, that's one of the common mistake. So leave it to the first external number assignment that's related to a naming, like kind of like a numbering system for the vendors. And then all of the rest will be similar to the cardinal property we did on the rental invoice. I will pick these are the general data. So contact information and the name, I think you can use, like I will use my last name. Okay, this is the company name. And the third term, in case you forget this vendor, we put a search term. And then the address for postcode, use 95929. And Tico, California, oh, it's CA, so the region is CA. And US is already popped up for me, right? So it's matching. There is also validation here. And if you do not match the postcode, country, and region, if the matching is wrong, you couldn't go further, or you have to correct it. So that should be, because that's real data check, validity check. And TICO, California State University TICO is one of the university alliances. They hold our SAP servers. Okay, right now I think it's believed it's Wisconsin, but we use TICO as our server university. Oh, that's called TICO. And the language is English. That's everything. Oh, here the data part is identical to the vendors. But for this one, I think you can check the zone. Okay, like if you want to check the zone here, you can use this plus. Okay, expand the other information about the context. Again, after we put California, and it's automatically fill the time zone as PST, right? Because sometimes you do shipping or like calendars, you have to follow the time zones. The instruction asks you to change it to EST, like Eastern Standard Time. It wouldn't work, or you have to come back to PST. Or if you use Central Time, it wouldn't work. Okay, do that by yourself. Okay, I'm skipping that part. So that's the general address. And after that, click on, so go to the vendor. Okay, in this one, we have one more on the general data. Okay, so vendor general data. And here, enter your external vendor number. This one is also we assign this number by ourselves. So use 114030. Okay, mine is for 30 again. Okay, use your own company code. So this will be the vendor number later we use for buying, like we put it in the info record, in the purchase order, in the invoices, and making payments. Okay, do make sure you write it down. But we do have ways to search and find it, but it's more convenient if you write it down and remember that. And then, okay, we finish all of the data we call general data. Okay, and then click on enter, but not save. Okay, so it's kind of saving the data we just entered, and then the company code. The second group of data, similar to the one we did on the cardinal, okay, the cardinal property. So put your company code, and the vendor number is already here. This is something different, but also hit enter to activate the reconciliation account, which is the accounts payable we are going to use, and this one we use the main accounts payable. Not the one, so this vendor is going to link to our main trading accounts payable. And the sorting key is 001. So sorting the reconciliation by the posting date. And in the instruction package, there are review questions. We also go overlook that, and so you can understand better. Okay, and I think the tolerance group under the payment terms. Let me see where it is. Oh, payment transaction. Okay, vendor. We have one more thing. Okay, payment term. Same thing as the rental property. We have immediate payment. Okay, 0000001. And then tolerance group. Just to put a GPI, the company name. GPI is the policy, or is the group of policy we set up for control mistake and errors. So it's kind of your tolerance and tolerance, error tolerance limit. Okay, so, and I can explain later, but this is some of the like access right, or for like staff accountant, what's the maximum numbers you can enter the transactions? Like, oh, can I enter transaction with a number more than 1 million? Oh, I'm authorized to handle transactions under $100,000. Okay, that's give a, it's like your handbook for user rights, tolerance level for errors, or is like the policy. So when you put the DBI, it's like you are calling the internal control policy to apply, okay, to here, like related to the vendor payments or some other like transactions, we do it later. So calling your control policies. I think that's it. Okay, then we can hit enter again. Okay, that's the second group of data we call company code data. Okay. And now be careful. Okay, be careful. And let's do this. Okay, so before you save, okay, do this change because we finished the data related to a new vendor. Okay, now imagine we already created this new vendor. Then let's move the role of this vendor to a existing vendor. So before we save, you move the role from a new vendor to existing by changing to the vendor purchasing in the drop-down menu. And once you change the role, you got this pop-up. Be careful, don't use create. Either if you use create, you go back to the loop. You then they will ask you to create a new vendor, but use save. Now it's saved the two groups of data, and then click the purchasing. Okay, we are almost done. Or if you don't see the purchasing directly in the tab, you can use more to see the other functions. Okay, but I'm here, or using the arrows to move around, you can see. So purchasing. And the purchasing org, remember we use, I think this one is US, your company code. This is not the purchasing group. Okay, don't confuse. We have a purchasing group and then purchasing org. Purchasing group is in a higher hierarchy, is controlling the, so like North America is the purchasing group, then US is the purchasing organization. So for example, you can have a purchasing organization in Canada, right? So that's another code. And then, so US 30, then what I'm going to put is use the enter to activate again for the functions. And under the purchasing data tab, or go up a little bit, because when you have it, you're at the bottom. Okay, so this one, so go up, okay, like move your, so use your mouse to move it up, or use like the sliders. Okay, so you can see the, and other currency, USD, right? Don't think this is so simple. I like, oh, why you still, but if you miss this information again, you really got the trouble later. Okay, even it seems really tiny information over here. So currency and payment term and the purchase organization. Now I think we can finally save. And that's step 6. I hope you followed me and completed everything right, because when you make a mistake, you know, like troubleshooting is kind of hard. And because when you try to change the data, I have to use other I can use BP, but I need to use the edit mode. Okay, but again, okay, don't, if you got some error, you know, let me know. We can work it out. So I think we can stop here. Boniface, like, yeah, you can start from these 2 transactions and follow my recording for, you know, the remaining. But these 2, like I mentioned, are the most critical ones. So if you watch my recording, you know, even you're not here, same thing. Okay, that's so continue to do and timely. Okay, so better start. You can do this. This one is not dependent on the financial accounting module. Okay, this one can be done parallel with the financial, but the bonus, the sales, you only can do it after you finish the most of the transactions in this module. Okay, so it's not like So it's sequential. So this is 5 and 6. And all of the rest, if you watch, I think pretty much you can finish in hour something. Okay, once you make sure everything is done correctly here. No problem. Okay, have a nice evening and stay in touch.